Kamla Education Society's Pratibha College of Commerce and Computer Studies, Chinswad, organizes a course on financial investment awareness. I, Professor Rohit D. Akolkar, is going to present today module number 7 of this course named Financial Investment Awareness. Through this module, I am going to cover various income tax deductions available for various modes of investment. After going through this particular course, after going through this particular module, learners will be able to understand what is income tax, various sources of income, deductions available for an individual salary earner assessee, tax planning, what is tax planning, and various provisions regarding deductions under section 80C to section 80U. Now, why there is a need to understand income tax provisions? As an assessee, we earn income through various sources. There are total 5 sources through which an assessee can earn income. Now, who is an assessee? Who is a person? Why we need to pay income tax to the government? That we will discuss in detail soon. But to understand basic provision of income tax is necessary because when we earn income, obviously we have to pay tax to the government, and to pay tax to the government is not optional for us, it is compulsory. If our income comes within the category, within the slab of those taxable income, then we have to pay tax. If we don't pay tax, then it is an punishable and criminal offense. Now the first basic concept which comes in the mind of the learner, that why we need to pay income tax to the government, because income tax is the only income of government. Through that particular income, government spend those income on various infrastructural development. So we have to pay tax to the government. Then who is person? So in income tax, there are total 7 types of person. Individual, HUF, that is Hindu Undivided Family, company, firm, AOP and BOI. AOP means association of person and BOI means body of individual. Then local authority and any artificial judicial person. Now under AOP, cooperative society comes. BOI means any political party. HUF means Hindu Undivided Family. Local authority means, for example, Pimpri-Chinchwad Municipal Corporation. And any artificial judicial person means any trust like Daglu Shet Halwai Trust, Tirupati Balaji Trust, Tudzapur Bhavani Trust, and Pune University. All universities comes under the category of last person, that is any artificial judicial person. Now all persons have to pay tax to the government because all persons are assessee, and assessee includes these particular 7 persons. As I have mentioned before, there are various sources of income, also called as heads of income. Under Income Tax Act 1961, there are 5 heads of income. Number 1, income from salary. Number 2, income from house property. Number 3, profit oblique gains from business oblique profession. Number 4, income from capital gains. And number 5, income from other sources. Now, income from salary means whatever income an assessee or an individual received in the form of salary from his or her employer. Income from house property means rental income. Whatever rent we received from the tenant, that comes under this head. Third one is profit oblique gains from business oblique profession. All business person, all professional persons income, profit comes or covered within this category. Income from capital gain means when an assessee, now who is an assessee? So taxpayer is an assessee. If you are liable to pay tax, then you are an assessee. So when any assessee sold out any fixed asset, then whatever profit earned out of selling of that particular fixed asset is an income from capital gain. And last head or last source of income is income from other sources. All incomes which are not part of above four heads comes within the category of this last source of income, that is income from other sources. So in interest on bank deposit, dividend received from company on investment made in equity shares or mutual funds, any lottery income received comes within the last head of income, that is income from other sources. Now, first we need to understand what are the tax rates applicable for an individual resident assessee. As I have mentioned before that there are 7 types of persons starting from individual to artificial judicial person. So through this particular presentation, I will focus on tax calculation of an individual resident assessee, because tax calculation is different for individual resident assessee and individual non-resident assessee. And in case of individual assessee also, there are 3 categories. One category is assessee, those who are not senior citizen, then assessees who are senior citizen, and assessees who are super senior citizen. So tax rates are different. Through this particular slide, I am going to explain tax rate for an individual resident assessee who is neither a super senior citizen nor a senior citizen. Means such individual assessees who have not completed their 60 years of age. So for such individual resident assessee, tax rate are up to rupees 3 lakh nil. Means if suppose uh, total income of that particular individual assessee is up to rupees 3 lakh, then there is no need to pay tax. From 3 lakh to rupees 5 lakh, the tax rate is 5%. From rupees 5 lakh to rupees 10 lakh, the tax rate is 20%. And above rupees 10 lakh, the tax rate is 30%. Now, additional surcharge is applicable. But additional surcharge is not applicable in all cases. Additional surcharge is applicable only if income of an assessee exceed rupees 50 lakh. So if income of an assessee is between rupees 50 lakh to rupees 1 crore, then additional surcharge at the rate 10% of income tax. And if suppose income exceeds rupees 1 crore, then additional surcharge at the rate 15% of income tax is applicable. It means surcharge is not applicable for all individual assessees. If income of an assessee exceed rupees 50 lakh, then only surcharge is applicable, that is at the rate 10%. And if income of an assessee exceed rupees 1 crore, then surcharge at the rate 15% of income tax is applicable. Along with surcharge, every assessee need to pay 4% health and education cess. Now this 4% health and education cess is chargeable on income tax plus surcharge if applicable. So if suppose surcharge is not applicable, then this 4% income tax is to be charged on whatever income tax calculated as per the slab mentioned here. So simply we can say that income tax is equals to tax calculated as per applicable rates plus surcharge if applicable plus health and education cess on calculated tax and cess. Now, before discussing how to calculate tax, I will first clear two basic concepts, that is what is an assessment year and what is previous year or financial year. So previous year or financial year is a year in which an assessee earns income. It is a particular period in which period assessee earn income, and assessment year is a period of 12 months started from 1st April and ended on 31st March of every calendar year. So whatever income earned by an assessee in a previous year, that assessee need to pay tax on that particular income in the next year. So that next year is called as an assessment year. So for example, if 2017-18 is a previous year, then 18-19 would be assessment year for that particular previous year. If 2019-20 is suppose previous year, then for that previous year 2020-21 would be an assessment year. So here we can say that every year has to play a double role, means a role of previous year as well as a role of assessment year. For example, if we take any year 2019-20, so 2019-20 is a previous year for that particular assessee, and for 1920 assessment year would be 2020-21. But at the same time, in 2019-20 that assessee need to pay tax on income on in the year 2018-19. So every year has to play a double role, previous year as well as an assessment year. Now let's discuss one practical problem on computation of tax liability. So here I am going to focus on such individual assessees whose age is less than 60 years, means who are nor super senior citizen nor senior citizen. So let's discuss one example. Mrs. Prabha Ganorkar, age 50 years old. 50 years old means she is neither super senior citizen nor senior citizen, because to become senior citizen an assessee has to complete 60 years of his or her age, and to become super senior citizen an individual assessee has to complete 80 years. So here this particular assessee, that is Mrs. Prabha Ganorkar, is neither super senior citizen nor senior citizen. So for this particular assessee, the earlier mentioned tax rates are applicable. Mrs. Prabha Ganorkar, 55 years old, is resident in India for the assessment year 2019-20. For the previous year 2018-19, her income chargeable to tax in India is rupees 15,54,810, and we have to calculate tax liability. Now here assessment year is 2019-20. It means previous year should be 2018-19, because whatever income is earned by an assessee in a previous year, that assessee need to pay tax on that income earned in previous year in upcoming year, in next year, which is called as an assessment year. So here previous year is 2018-19. It means assessment year is 2019-20. Now let's see how to calculate tax liability on income of this particular assessee. Now, as I have mentioned earlier, for an individual resident assessee whose age is less than 60 years, up to rupees 3 lakh, no tax is applicable. From rupees 3 lakh to 5 lakh, tax rate is 5%. From rupees 5 lakh to 10 lakh, tax rate is 20%, and above 10 lakh, flat tax rate is 30%. If income exceeds rupees 50 lakh, then additional 10% surcharge is applicable. If income exceeds rupees 1 crore, then additional 15% surcharge is applicable. Now, in this case of Mrs. Prabha Ganorkar, for first rupees 3 lakh, obvious rate of tax would be nil, so no tax. From rupees 3 lakh to 5 lakh, means for next rupees 2 lakh, tax rate applicable is 5%. So 2 lakh into 5%, tax is 10,000 rupees. From rupees 5 lakh to 10 lakh, the applicable rate is 20%. So between 5 lakh to 10 lakh, the income lies of this particular assessee is rupees 5 lakh. So 5 lakh into 20%, tax rate is tax in rupees is 1 lakh. And for balance income above rupees 10 lakh, the applicable tax rate is 30%. So excess rupees 10 lakh, there is balance income rupees 5 lakh 54,810. So 5 lakh 54,810 into 30%, the tax in rupees is 1 lakh 66,443. So total of all these taxes slab wise is rupees 2 lakh 76,443 and 4% health and education cess is applicable. Now here, as Mrs. Prabha Ganurkar's income is not exceed rupees 50 lakh and not exceed rupees 1 crore, so obviously additional surcharge at the rate 10% or 15% is not applicable in this case. So, but 4% health and education cess is mandatory, is compulsory for all assessors. So 4% of what? So 4% of income tax, whatever income tax we have calculated using the slab. So here income tax is 2,76,443. So 4% on this 2,76,443 is rupees 11,058. So after making rounded it off, the net tax liability of Mrs. Prabha Ganurkar is rupees 2,87,500. So by using these tax rates, by using these given slabs given under Income Tax Act 1961, we can calculate tax liability for any assessee, for any individual assessee. Now there is one homework for learners. There is one another assessee, Mr. Praful Sharma, age 59 years old. Means obviously Mr. Praful Sharma is not a senior citizen, but he is resident in India for the assessment year 2019-20. For the previous year 2018-19, his income chargeable to tax in India is rupees 25 lakh 54,810. So find out tax liability. So now learners will be able to calculate tax liability by using the given slab rate. Let me tell you, Mr. Praful Sharma is resident Indian individual. He is not senior citizen. He is not super senior citizen. So earlier mentioned tax rates are applicable for Mr. Praful Sharma. And let me tell you, in this case of Mr. Praful Sharma also, surcharge would not be applicable because total income of Mr. Praful Sharma does not exceed rupees 50 lakhs. So without charging surcharge and by using the earlier slab rates, learner can now calculate tax liability of Mr. Praful Sharma. Now, learner should understand that what are various deductions available to an individual assessee from gross total income. Because it doesn't mean that whatever income we earn, we don't need to pay tax on the actual income earned. There are certain deductions available. And these deductions available are based on various modes of investment. And these deductions, the provisions of various deductions available to an individual are mentioned in section 80C to 80U of Indian Income Tax Act 1961. So let's discuss one by one deduction in detail. So first and most important deduction available under section 80C is deduction in respect of investment in life insurance premium. Second one is investment or contribution toward statutory provident fund or recognized provident fund. A statutory provident fund is applicable in case of government employees, and RPF, that is recognized provident fund, is applicable in case of non-government employees. Third one is contribution towards PPF, that is Public Provident Fund. Any individual can invest in PPF, that is Public Provident Fund. There is no need that one should be employed in particular organization. PPF is open for all. Now, along with life insurance premium and investment in statutory provident fund and investment in public provident fund, following investments are also considered for deduction under section 80C. Subscription to national saving certificates, that is NSC. So if an individual is interested to invest in NSC certificates, these certificates are available in nationalized banks. These certificates are available in post offices. So if suppose any particular individual want to invest in NSC, then whatever investment is invested in national saving certificate by that particular individual assessee, that assessee will get deduction under section 80C. Then next deduction available is contribution towards life insurance corporations mutual funds. Then payment for notified annuity plan of LIC. For example, Jeevan Dhara, Jeevan Akshay. These are notified annuity plan provided by LIC. So if an individual invested in this particular annuity plan, then that individual will get deduction, benefit of deduction under section 80C. Then next deduction available in case of investment in notified units of mutual fund. Then investment in 5 years or more fixed deposit, that is term deposit, is also liable to get a benefit of deduction under section 80C. Next investment which is eligible for deduction under section 80C is investment in bonds of NABARD, that is National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development. Then amount invested in approved debenture or approved equity shares in a public company engaged in infrastructure including power sector. So this investment is eligible only an assessee invested in approved debentures or approved equity shares in a public limited company only, and that company must be engaged in infrastructure including power sector. So such investment is eligible to get deduction under section 80C of Income Tax Act 1961. Next deduction available is any installment or part payment towards the cost of purchase or construction of a residential property. So suppose any individual bought a ready-made house, or suppose he spent some amount on a construction of a residential property, that is residential house, then such amount is liable to get deducted under section 80C. Next amount which is comes under the deduction under section 80C is any installment or part payment towards the cost of purchase, construction of a residential property to a housing board or cooperative society, or repayment of housing loan taken from government, taken from any bank, or taken from any cooperative bank or LIC or National Housing Bank or assessee's employer. So if an assessee took loan even from his employer, then whatever installment he pays year-wise, monthly, so the amount paid to that particular bank in the form of installment, the amount that particular installment is eligible to get deducted under section 80C. Next amount which is eligible to get deducted under section 80C is amount of tuition fees paid at the time of admission to university, colleges, educational institutions in India for full-time education of any two children of an individual. So here learners should understand that any tuition fee paid for education outside India is not eligible to get deduction under section 80C. And one more important thing is any amount paid in the form of donation or development fees paid by parents on behalf of their son or daughter to the education institution, such development fees or donation is also not liable to get deducted under section 80C. And here limit of children is 2. Next amount or next investment is any amount invested under an annuity plan of LIC. Not only LIC of India, but any other insurance company, if suppose provide any annuity plan, and any individual, if suppose invested in such annuity plan, then such amount is liable to get deducted under section 80CCC. Now here section changed. This is second section, that is section 80CCC of Income Tax Act 1961. So earlier, so this is the last deduction available in case of section 80C. You can see here. And now the second deduction available in case of section 80CCC is amount invested under an annuity plan of the LIC of India or any other insurer for receiving pension. Now the maximum limit, the maximum amount deductible under section 80CCC is 1,50,000, and let me tell you the maximum amount of deduction available in case of section 80C is also rupees 1,50,000. Now next deduction available is under section 80CCD. So these are three important sections under which various deductions in case of investments are available. So first section is section 80C, second section is section 80CCC, and third section is section 80CCD. So under section 80CCD, deduction in respect of contribution to a national pension system is available. Now national pension system covers National Pension Scheme and Atal Pension Yojana, and the maximum amount deductible under section 80CCD is rupees 1,50,000. So maximum amount of reduction available in case of section 80C is 1,50,000. Maximum amount of deduction available in case of section 80CCC is rupees 1,50,000. Maximum amount of deduction available in case of section 80CCD is rupees 1,50,000. But let me tell you, there is a combined maximum ceiling limit also. No doubt, individually for section 80C, for section 80CCC, and for section 80CCD, there are limits, that is rupees 1,50,000, 1,50,000, 1,50,000. But it does not mean that if we combine all three sections, then many students are under impression that that what amount we get, 1,50,000 plus 1,50,000 plus 1,50,000, that is 4,50,000. No, limit per section is 1,50,000, and the aggregate amount of deduction available under section 80C, 80CCC, and 80CCD cannot exceed rupees 1,50,000. Here one important note or one important point we should keep in mind that additional deduction in respect of any amount paid up to rupees 50,000 is available under section 80CCD, and on this additional contribution the ceiling of rupees 1,50,000 is not applicable. So recently central government allow individual assessee, if suppose any individual assessee invested under section 80CCD, then additional deduction apart from the ceiling limit of rupees 1,50,000 is applicable, is available. Now let's discuss one practical problem in case of an individual assessee, that how an individual assessee get benefit of these various deductions under section 80C, 80CCC and 80CCD. Let's take this example of Mr. Ranjit Kolle. Mr. Ranjit Kolle, who is 30 years old, is working as an assistant professor in Pune University. His total income and investment details for FY, that is financial year 2018-19, are as follows. Now here financial year is 2018-19. It means assessment year must be 2019-20. Income details of Professor Ranjit Kolle are mentioned here. His income from salary, that is gross salary. Gross salary means before any deductions. So gross salary of Mr. Ranjit Kolle is rupees 6,60,000. He has invested rupees 50,000 in 15 years PPF, that is Public Provident Fund. He also invested in 5 years fixed deposit, rupees 50,000. Because if suppose any assessee, any individual assessee made investment in fixed deposit for less than 5 years, then that particular fixed deposit investment is not liable to get deduction under section 80C. So to get benefit of these two particular deductions, that is Public Provident Fund and term deposit. So these two time limits are there. So if you invest in PPF for less than 50 years, then you won't get benefit of deduction under section 80C. And suppose if you invest in term deposit, that is fixed deposit, for less than 5 years, then you won't get the benefit of deduction. So here Mr. Ranjit Kolle's both investments are eligible for deduction under section 80C. He also paid EMI on housing loan rupees 1 lakh. He paid life insurance premium rupees 30,000, and he also invested in notified pension fund rupees 80,000. So these are investment made by Professor Ranjit Kolle during the financial year 2018-19, and total gross income from salary of Mr. Ranjit Kolle is rupees 6,60,000. Now let's see how to calculate taxable salary and how to calculate tax liability of an individual assessee. So here whatever tax rates I have mentioned here in earlier slides, these tax rates are applicable for the assessment year 2019-20. Let's see how to calculate tax liability. Gross total salary is rupees 6,60,000. Standard deduction in case of salary income is available, that is fixed 50,000 rupees. So this 50,000 rupees deduction is available in case of all salary holders, irrespective of amount of salary. Earlier it was 40,000. Before that it was not applicable. So 2 years before, in Finance Act 2019, in Finance Act 2018, this deduction was introduced. So now the standard deduction available in case of individual salary holder is rupees 50,000. So income from salary of Mr. Ranjit Kolle would be 6,10,000, that is rupees 6,60,000 minus 50,000, that is 6,10,000. Now these are various investments made by Mr. Ranjit Kolle These are various investments made by Mr. Ranjit Kolle. One is investment in PPF rupees 50,000, then investment is fixed deposit rupees 50,000, then repayment of housing loan EMI rupees 1 lakh, LIC premium paid rupees 30,000, investment in mutual funds rupees 80,000. So now here total investment made by Mr. Ranjit Kolle is rupees 3,10,000. But as I have mentioned it before, that individual limit of section 80C, section 80CCC and section 80 CCD is 1,50,000, 1,50,000, 1,50,000, but the combined ceiling limit of section 80C, 80CCC and 80CCD is rupees 1,50,000. Now in this case, no investment is made under section 80CCC or under section 80CCD. All investments made by Ranjit Kolle are eligible for deduction under section 80C. But the total of investment made by Mr. Ranjit Kolle is rupees 3,10,000. But maximum ceiling limit is applicable. So maximum ceiling limit is 1,50,000. So Ranjit Kolle will not get a deduction of rupees 3,10,000, but he will get a deduction of rupees 1,50,000 only. So total salary, that is income from salary, after getting deduction of standard deduction rupees 50,000 is rupees 6,10,000, and now rupees 6,10,000 minus deduction available in case of section 80C is rupees 1,50,000, not rupees 3,10,000. I repeat, because although the investment made is rupees 3,10,000, but no assessee is liable to get deduction benefit exceed rupees 1,50,000 because combined ceiling limit is rupees 1,50,000. So net taxable salary of Mr. Ranjit Kolle would be rupees 4,60,000. Now how to calculate tax on rupees 4,60,000? So obvious earlier mentioned tax rates are applicable here. For rupees 3 lakh, tax rate is nil, so tax also nil. From rupees 3 lakh to 5 lakh, the applicable tax rate is 5%. So between 3 lakh to 5 lakh, the income falls within in this particular slab here. In case of Mr. Kolle is rupees 1,60,000. So rupees 1,60,000 at the rate 5%, tax is 8,000. There is no income exceed rupees 5 lakh. So further 20% tax rate is not applicable in this case. And as Mr. Ranjit Kolle's income is less than rupees 50 lakh, surcharge is not also applicable. But additional cess, health and education cess at the rate 4% on this 8,000 is applicable. That is 320. 4% of 8,000, that is 320. So 8,320 is net tax. Now one section is there, that is section 87A, and under section 87A an individual assessee is liable to get rebate, and this section or this rebate is applicable only for those assessees whose income is less than rupees 5 lakh, whose taxable income is less than rupees 5 lakh. Now listen, in earlier case of Mrs. Prabha Ganorkar, her income was above rupees 5 lakh, so she didn't get benefit of rebate. But now in this case of Mr. Ranjit Kolle, his taxable income is rupees 4,60,000, obviously after getting deduction, because an assessee need to pay tax on income after getting deduction only. So here after getting deduction, his net taxable salary is rupees 4,60,000. So the tax is to be calculated on this rupees 4,60,000. Now we have calculated tax as per the applicable tax rates. So here net tax is 8,320. But as I have mentioned that if total taxable income of an individual assessee is less than rupees 5 lakh, then 100% tax rebate is applicable. So Mr. Ranjit Kolle will get benefit of rebate under section 87A, that is 100% tax rebate. So 8,320 minus 8,320. So tax payable by Mr. Ranjit Kolle is nil. Now, although gross salary of Mr. Ranjit Kolle is rupees 6,60,000, but you can see here tax paid or payable by Mr. Ranjit Kolle is nil, because Ranjit Kolle is liable to get rebate under section 87A, and this section 87A of rebate is applicable for those individual assessee for those individual resident assessee whose taxable income does not exceed rupees 5 lakh. So through this particular module number 7, I have tried to focus various income tax provisions available in case of individual assessee. So when any individual assessee made investment in bonds, in equity shares, in debentures, through share market, or in PPF, in SPF, that is Statutory Provident Fund, or in LIC, then that particular investments are liable for deduction under section 80C, 80CCC and 80CCD with specific limitations mentioned in the Act. So when any individual show his interest to invest his or her amount in share market or in public provident fund or in various plans of LIC, then such individual must be aware about these provisions, because through these provisions that particular individual will get benefit of various deductions and the tax liability of that particular individual is reduced down. Thank you.